Hi, this is Marguerite Tonry from Tribes Press, and I wanted to talk to you about our books. So, we have lots of books at Tribes Press, and we really want you to do your best that if you are deciding on books to buy your children or buy yourself while you're in lockdown, please think of us. We're a very new publishing house in Galway City, and I'm just going to show you some of our books. So I'm going to start with very young children. So if you have a little child on your lap and you want them to read a story, or you want to read a story to them as the time is going on while the COVID-19 situation is on, well then you can choose Silly Sammy. So Silly Sammy is a wonderful book. It's about a little dog. Exploring the town of Birtsville is Sammy's favourite thing to do. However, Sammy always causes a lot of mischief along the way, especially when she and Dan head off to Birtsville Fair to the Waggiest Tail competition. Will a mishap in the pottery stall and a stray chicken spoil her chances, or is an even bigger surprise heading Sammy's way? So this is a beautiful picture book. You can see Sammy, the little dog, on his owner's lap there, falling asleep. There are lots of little pictures. You can see him in here at the pottery stall. Oh, the other way. Pottery stall. And he's enjoying his time there. You can see him getting up to all sorts of mischief here when he breaks free from the lead and chases the chicken. And he gets up to all sorts of mischief, Silly Sammy. So here he is. They're all trying to get him because Silly Sammy has broken loose and he is on his way in the chase of the chicken. So it's a beautiful picture book for children, a child that you'd have on your lap. So there you are again, Silly Sammy getting up. He went to the butcher's to get some sausages and he is running, getting himself into all sorts of trouble. So this is a fantastic book for anybody who has little children. So it's a beautiful book for them, and there you go, Silly Sammy. Now the next book here we have is Little Knittin'. So Little Knittin' is a beautiful book about, I'll read it to you. Missy Knittin' lives in her woolen home and spends her days knitting alone. She longs to have a little knitting of her own. With the help of knitting needles made magical by the Silver Moon Fairy, her dream is about to come true. It's a beautiful little book, and the colours are amazing. So it's beautifully illustrated. We have wonderful colours in it. And there you go, you can see many of the illustrations there. So this is Little Knittin', Missy Knittin', and Little Knittin' is about to come to life. So with the help of magic knitting needles. So there you are. I'll give you another example of the beautiful, these are the magic knitting needles. So Little Knittin' comes to life. So this is Little Knittin'. It's a beautiful little book, picture book. So it's really important, I think, if you can just sit with your children, read to your children, then you can build a bond, a stronger bond. I know your bonds are strong with your children, but you can build a strong bond around reading. You can have something in common with regards to reading. Now we have another beautiful book, A Fairy Wonderland of Rhymes. So this is a fabulous book. So if anybody wants to get this book, it is a book of poetry from an Offaly woman, Lynn Maloney. So let me read a beautiful poem. All our books are signed by the author, so don't be afraid to purchase a book that could last a lifetime and has that magic of having been signed by an author. So beautiful illustrations in this book. I'm going to read one of the poems. This book is Share Your Troubles. Fairies do not understand why humans go within. They share all their troubles, which helps to lessen them. With friends and those who love them, with those who are their kin. No, fairies don't do loneliness. They don't keep troubles in. And then here I'll pick another one. Let me see, anyone we want. What about the one that's on the cover of the book? Look at this one. Let's have a look at this. The Magical Hawthorne. The Magical Fairy Hawthorne. Don't step over the hawthorn hedge, it's really highly suspect. Little folk come here each year to stoke and charge their magic. Magical ways from olden days are known to have taken place here. On moonlit nights from time to time great gatherings going on here. Leagues of little lithe folk hand in hand before her. The magical tree, its blossoms, be for kindling fairy lanterns. So it's a beautiful book, absolutely beautiful book. The illustrations are beyond incredible. We had a wonderful illustrator in Sally Ann Kelly, fantastic illustrator from County Kildare, and she put illustrations to these amazing poems. So a beautiful book to have. It's a book you'll have and treasure forever. It was gold winner in Tribes Press of the children's picture book for best illustration, and gold winner for the Poetry Book Awards. Okay, so it's a beautiful book and well worth purchasing. Then we have this little book called Onnie Piggles, and this one is about Onnie Piggles feels lost in his life in Animal Kingdom, and one day decides to pack his bag, close his repair shop, and board a train to Fairy Tale Land in search of a story in which he belongs and to find his own happy ever after. However, the exciting new adventure he sought wasn't exactly what he imagined. Filled with quirky new friends and old familiar ones, this is a heartwarming and wonderful fable for everyone to enjoy. Written in a truly unique voice that all ages can appreciate, Onnie Piggles is a story to read, share and love. Fallen Star Stories. Beautiful little book. It's a book that you give, we say, to a child that's just starting to read for themselves, maybe a child that's about 6 or 7 and they want to read a book for themselves, but they don't want, like, you do, if you give them something that's way too complex at that age, you might put them off reading. So it's a lovely little book. Wait, I'll show you pictures inside. Fantastic book. So now we have another book for 6 to 9 year olds, and this book has fantastic illustrations. I think you can see them there. Yeah, fantastic illustrations. And this is the book, this is the cover of it, and it's called Trotty and the Farmyard Mystery. Trotty and the Farmyard Mystery is a story of a brave collie dog called Trotty who has to leave the home he knew as a pup to set sail on a new adventure. Along the way he meets the Foleys, who take him in and set him to work on their small farm in the west of Ireland. All is well in Trotty's life until one day a baby chick is snatched from the hen house. Trotty, being the sheepdog that he was, decided to find out who carried out this awful deed, and this set about a chain of events that was to send his life on a new and interesting path. Trotty and the Farmyard Mystery, again for 6 to 9 year olds. It's a nice little book. It's set in the landscape of Connemara, so it's a beautiful book. We have, let me think, what other books do we have? We have my own books, the Cafe series of books. And these are, there you are. So these are Caffeus Earth, Air, Water, Fire and Spirit. So you can get a bundle of 5 or you can buy them individually. So Earth, Air, Water, Fire and Spirit. So this is a series of, it's set in the landscape of Ireland. It's mythology, Irish mythology is in this book, and they're about a brother and sister called Eliza Jamie. And they're from Éire or Ireland, and they go to Caffeus, the fantastical world of light. And when they get to Caffeus, they meet Grandmother Oak, and Grandmother Oak says, "Go quick, get to the meadow beyond the woods of Caffeus, and if you reach the meadow, you'll have gone farther than any other child who's entered the world of the imagination. But promise me one thing, find out what it is you were born to be." So they're set on a great adventure. They meet dragons and elves and mythical creatures of all sorts. So this is the Caffeus series that I've written, the one I love. So that's for 8 to 13, 14 year olds. With the Caffeus series, the books grow older with each child. So 8 to 9 year olds, in terms of Eliza's 8 and Jamie's 9, 10, 11 and 12, 12 and 13, 13 and 14. So the Caffeus series. And now I will show you. So that's your children taken care of. You have them taken care of up to about 13 years of age. And now let's talk about Irish drummers. So we've looked at the picture books, we've looked at our beautiful poetry book, we've looked at the 6 to 9 year old fiction, children's fiction, we've looked at the 8 to 13 year olds, the Caffeus series that I've written, and now we're on to Irish drummers, because there are plenty of children out there who'd love to be drummers, but there are also plenty of teenagers who are already drummers, and there are plenty of adults who love everything drumming. So drumming is the beat of every band. So we have interviews with Irish drummers. It's a beautiful book with fantastic images. And there you are, interviews with Irish drummers. It's a fantastic book, and to look at that, it's incredible. So, that's a book. So that you can. There's Thin Lizzy. Let me see. I'll give you an example of this. Brian Downey from Thin Lizzy. Let me think. How do you feel your drumming style has changed over the years? Well, this is what Brian said. He said, when I started playing, it was in a pipe band. My dad was a pipe band drummer, and so was my cousin and uncle. My style back then was pipe band drumming, and it was basically very rudimental oriented. I was completely getting what was going on with rock and roll back then. I kind of knew what the drumming was, and I kind of knew it was much simplified to what I was playing in the pipe band, which was a completely different style. The more I listened, the more it took my interest, to the extent that I had to get the kit of drums, no matter how small it was. My interest started to peak around the times of the Beatles, and that really changed my style. I really started listening to the drummers in rock and roll, trying to get the idea of what they were playing. So he's asked many questions, Brian Downey, of founding member of Thin Lizzy and one of Ireland's most respected and revered drummers. And what would advice, here's an example, what advice would we give someone starting out on the drums? Try to find a good teacher, and it may be easier nowadays with YouTube and the internet. If you can't find someone locally, then go online. Find a good tutorial that will teach you the basics regarding paradiddles, rudiments, etc. If you're really interested in drums, buy a small drum kit and try to find musicians around your area. Try to play along and keep doing it. I know nowadays that people's time is precious and everybody is rushing around, but what musicians need to do is to stop and practice. Maybe take an hour out or 2 hours or even a half an hour out, but make it into a regular practice session. Practice regularly and try not to get into bad habits. If you get into bad habits starting off, it's very difficult to get out of those habits. Try to grasp the basics and to start. That's Brian Downey from Thin Lizzy who said that. So in that book, there's a bit of everything for people, a bit of advice for drummers starting off. Look, we have multiple books. Get on, we've just shown you some of our books, but get online, tribespress.com. And when you're on tribespress.com, check out our books in our shop. We will deliver your books to you anywhere in the world, and all the books are signed by the authors with a special. For the Kaffia series, I put a special message inside for each child who purchases the books. So get on to tribespress.com. Support this Irish book publisher. We're a very small publishing house, but we're trying our best in these very difficult times. Please, if you're thinking of purchasing books, please purchase books from us. We're all in this together, and let's all be together and out on the other side of this. Let us all stay afloat as small businesses. Thank you very much for listening, and don't forget to purchase your books online. Take care.